I believe we're live. Um,
Love.
I I have no idea what the heck is going on, but apparently, the software that we normally use to stream decided to just
What the heck is going
shit
on?
itself. So here we are, going back to the old school setup. We are on Discord here, all in a video chat here. And so, unfortunately, we're going to lose a little bit of functionality here. We're not going to be able to hide stream or anything or text anymore. I'm going to have to figure out how to share my screen, so we might have to skip on that for today and just kind of talk through these races. But man, IT, how many IT people does it take to get a live stream going?
At
Mark.
least
Apparently more
2.
than 2. More than 2. The 2 is not enough.
Yeah. This I have no I don't know, man. So unfortunately, this is not going to get streamed out to Twitter or anything like that. But we love the YouTube people. YouTube people always show up. So
You
um,
2 people are the best people.
yeah,
They
Dennis
thanks.
are.
Trusty. Remember when Dennis Trusty used to be a YouTube person, and now he's completely ditched us? That bastard.
He's one of
Yeah,
our people.
He was one of our people, and now his head got a little too big, you know?
yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for being patient and joining us here. We're on the wrong lead team. We're a little low budget today, but hey, we'll yell at restream at a later time. But we're gonna have a really fun like just couple sequences here. I know Mark, you said that you are about as excited to stream or not to stream to bet the sequence tomorrow than you have in quite some time. This turf pick 3.
Yeah, no, I looked at this turf pick 3, and obviously all meet long at Keeneland, we've seen that the morning lines are absolutely atrocious. So 3 times so far this meet. So maybe it's just the lines are absolutely that bad, but I think I'm seeing some value in here. I'm seeing a lot of horses I want to play against, especially in some of the turf marathon races. So I think it's a really good sequence. The Sycamore came up. Very interesting. I think there's a lot of horses that'll take money that I absolutely am hard against. Just it's a cool sequence, and yeah, I like some spots.
Nice, Caleb. What are you thinking about this weekend here at Keeneland?
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I always like Keeneland, and I think the turf pick 3 that they offer is really one of the better wagers, in the industry. It's always fun up there with the Golden Hour, pick 4, and some of the other kind of gimmicky wagers. So yeah, we have big fields. Some
And apparently, the stream just keeps on disconnecting. But like I said, we'll figure this out. Um, yeah, I'm actually really excited to take a look at some of these races. And of course, right, the day that we have, I think 2 really nice pick 3s to talk about is the day that we have all these technical issues. So fun stuff. But yeah, Mark, why don't we just jump into here? So we're looking at Keeneland race 5 tomorrow. We're going to be going a mile on the turf. It's a $110,000 N1X allowance race. And I think your more than favorite is at the 3 at 7-2, Lady Pookie. And then you got a couple horses at 9-2, 7-2, and 4-1. So looks like Queen Judith, Lady Pookie, and Isn't She Lovely there kind of, or Queen who's the Harrington Rocket, sorry. Are kind of sitting there. Around the same price. So where did you kind of land here at this first race, race 5?
Yeah, no, I think I'm probably against the 2 shortest prices in this field. If you've been watching Keeneland so far, turf has been fairly speed favoring. Lady Pookie's your money line favorite. She's going to be coming from a little bit more out of it. Ken McPeak's barn, he's been absolutely just throwing everything at Keeneland, and they've just been completely whiffing. He's 1 for 16 on the meet so far. And Benji Hernandez has also not been having a great meet. On top of that, this is a horse that's 1 for 13 lifetime. She looks like she has a massive case of the hangs. They've tried both dirt and turf with her, and synthetic. I guess they've tried all 3 surfaces with her, and she's not the type that really wants to find the winner's circle. So and I guess then you also have the Chad Brown horse, the 9 Harrington Rocket. I would imagine this horse probably ends up your favorite here, coming out of that win last out of Kentucky Downs. Makes a lot of connections, but or it makes a lot of sense sense, just like, kind of connections alone with Chad Brown shipping this one over. My issue there is, again, a horse coming from quite a ways out of it, and Gaff Leone has absolutely looked lost all meet. He's 2 for 27 on the meet, just not riding well at all. This is a maiden breaker, last out, first time versus winners, and sometimes these Chad Brown horses that take a while to break their maiden, when they do, they end up not being the most talented type. So I ended up going other directions. There's two horses that I was, quite interested in. I think the one I'm most interested in is the 8. Isn't She Lovely? Michael Maker putting up Gabe Corrales. This horse has an absolute ton of speed. Stretching this one out a little bit. When Maker goes to Corrales over the past, I think it's like a 20-month sample size I saw. They're like 30-something%. It's a really high percentage. Corrales has been riding very, absolutely lights out so far this meet. He's still, even after today where he didn't have a winner, he's still at right around 30%. And those two connections are deadly, especially on a horse that's got a lot of tactical speed. So I thought Isn't She Lovely 8-1 on the morning line made a ton of sense in here. And the other horse I thought was quite interesting was the 4, Sensitivity. Carlo Caramiro. I don't know how to. I slaughter names. Josh can try to say that name correctly for me. But this is a horse that's off a really long layoff. Trainer is 38% on these greater than 180-day layoffs. Goes to Luis Saez here. This is one they tried to draw into today, got put on the also eligible, so they had to go to this race. I think this was another horse that's got a lot of tactical speed, wired first out. It looks like something may have gone wrong in the last. It had kind of an awkward start. I wonder if the horse, if something went wrong in that stakes race. Back off the long layoff for highest percentage connections, and I thought this one was pretty interesting.
So sorry, I was like not paying attention to anything you said because I was trying to set this. Do you guys remember this?
I was
Do you
trying
guys
to talk for a
remember
while
this?
and give you some chance.
How
Oh
long
yeah,
has
we
it
had to
been
like
since?
share a window.
How
and
long
like
has it been? Like I don't even like how long has it been since we even had that logo? What the heck, man? I'm just finding all these old settings from when we used to have to do this old school. Yeah, I'm with you on the 8. Isn't She Lovely? She's one of my top picks in this race. I mean, Gerardo Corrales, Caleb is just not surprised whatsoever that both you and I like this horse in the spot. So I thought that this horse is kind of rounding in a little bit in the form. Came off the layoff there at KD, ran a nice second. Is getting a more aggressive jock aboard. Seems to have run his best races, or her best races rather, when she's aggressively ridden. So you get a more aggressive jock. You're getting 7 furlongs to KD to a 1 mile is. I don't think necessarily a cutback, but it's about the same distance. So I think that this horse is got enough fitness off that first race, coming second off the layoff. I think that this Isn't She Lovely is really going to be set up nicely. I forgot what other horse did you highlight there, Mark?
4.
The 4.
Your other ag.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
like
was
the
looking
4.
for prices, and though I saw those two, and I was like, "Oh, those are two prices I really like," and you're on the same two prices. So my
Yeah.
guess is they will not be anything near morning line, given that.
I like the 4. I tend to like speed at on Keeneland turf. I know it's not necessarily always speed favoring, but I feel like speed's done pretty well. Not necessarily front end speed, but I haven't really seen much from the deep closers. I know we haven't had too much turf racing this week, but Luis Saez is the best jock on the front end on turf. So I'm gonna go ahead and ride with Luis Saez. Horse has just been working really, really nicely since coming off that layoff. That race at GP, I think from February. I think this race is very competitive, if not a winning race in this spot. So I like this 4 horse here coming in. So Caleb, dash our dreams. Who actually wins this race?
This is terrible, but I like both of your horses.
God damn it!
As my top 2 picks. So the mush is in full effect here. I do like the 8 the best. The 4 I'm a little less high on Sensitivity, but I do very much like Isn't She Lovely. I don't think we see anywhere near 8-1 on that horse. My guess would be 4-1, maybe 9-2, something in the ballpark of that. But yeah, I mean, I think this horse makes all the sense in the world. Looked like a horse that maybe just needed that race off the layoff last time, and Kentucky Downs has been historically a pretty good kind of leg up track for horses next time out. So would expect to see some improved fitness here today. So yeah, Sensitivity makes some sense. I think the race kind of changes a little bit should the 13 draw in, because that's a filly that does bring a lot of speed into the race, but she's not one that I'm really interested in. But she will change the race from a pace dynamics perspective. Beyond that, I'm not like aggressively against the 3. I think the horse does make sense. It's not a horse that I really want to go bet at 7-2. But yeah, I mean, the only other horse I may talk about that I guess I found a little interesting is, believe it or not, this one horse, uh, Quaria Brava. So this is a horse that yeah, it's not usually my jam, coming out of a C tier track of Belterra, last out maiden breaker. But the last out race came back pretty decent. I mean, the figure that she earned in that race came back respectable. She did actually beat a couple decent horses in there. Dreamfly is a horse that's owned and trained by Wesley Ward, and then Spurt is trained by Tom Drury. So those aren't just like Belterra nobodies that she beat in that race. So yeah, I mean, I thought the race was nice. I mean, she was the best of the speed in kind of a 3-way speed duel all the way around the track, losing most of the ground of anybody. So I think that she probably can't get the lead here, so she wanted to try some new tactics. But Paulo Lobo's barn is one of those barns that's very streaky, hot and cold, and right now he seems pretty hot. I'm showing 2 wins and 2 seconds out of 5 starters at Keeneland so far this meet. And Talamo is one of his first call jocks. So that's a horse that I think gets totally overlooked on the board and could run last, but at 30-1, that's a horse that I'm going to have on a ticket somewhere. But my top 2 opinions would be the 8 and the 4.
So the only other horse I thought was a little interesting, if you're looking for a bomb, which Caleb just did with a 1, so I'll go to mine, is this 10, Duplicitous, who it gets Mitch up. I realize this horse is technically winless on turf, but this is a horse that is coming out of a Kentucky Downs start in a sprint, which arguably was probably a little bit too sharp. And if you're a time form person, those 2 Ellis races, and I know some of the Ellis figs, I don't know if I necessarily trust them, but those Ellis figures fit pretty darn well in this race. I don't know if the horse necessarily wins, but if you're looking for a 30-1, a big price to clunk up a trifecta or something, I think this is the kind of horse that makes some sense. 4 for 25, 29 lifetime horse, no win machine or anything else, and is winless on turf, but it is a horse that figures do kind of say this one fits to some degree. And I do like the run style. I think the run style kind of fits with what's been working at Keeneland so far this meet.
Perfect. I updated our graphics so we now have the correct logo. This is so janky. This is so funny. Yeah, like the creature comforts of having one program that does all this for us is I'm missing that, and like I can't even see chat. So let me take a look at chat. It's been a while since we've checked in here.
Everybody's talking about Delta. Literally, it's been an entire field full of talk about Delta.
Dude,
I forgot they're back to night racing, huh?
They are.
They are. Mark has not been able to shut up about it. Hey, I had that 4 last race at Remington, though. I got a pick 4 live over here, so we got some real degen going on here. But we're not going to talk too much because next thing you know, Caleb's going to start firing, and it just never ends well. But I did see. Let me see. Did anyone chime in on this race here? Holy cow!
They likes the 6. It looks like precursory.
Yeah, I thought that horse was somewhat interesting. You're getting a horse that let me get my screen back up here. You're getting Johnny V up for Bill Mott. I would imagine Johnny V could have gone other places in here. And you're getting a horse that, I don't know why they tried this one 3 times on dirt they finally broke maiden at 7 furlongs at Saratoga last out. Horse that, again, these Bill Mott horses, he rounds these slowly into form, and they kind of get better as they age. This seems like one of those that is slowly getting a little bit better. I'm not a big fan of Bill Mott going dirt to turf, personally. Bill's normally pretty good at kind of first out, figuring the surface out, and they just sort of stick on it for their career. So I do find it's a bit of an odd move trying to put this one on turf. Almost wonder if they were, I don't know, hoping this gets rained off or something. But yeah, I mean, the horse makes some sense. Just 6-1 isn't probably the price I need. I probably need like double that to get interested.
I mean, that Briz fig last out is very, very strong. I don't know what it looks like. I know it's a dirt race.
Okay, yeah.
I know it's a dirt race, but that figure looks pretty strong. Kentharos is 15% first time turf, but there's there's like no Empire Maker is very clearly a dirt sire. I mean, it's no Union Rags by any means, but he's also no Bernardini.
Canteros can sort of run on anything. So I mean, there's a. I don't hate the move to turf. It just kind of is a head scratcher why they're doing it. Like I don't
I'm
know.
honestly more bothered by the mile than I am the turf. I don't. Cantharos is very much a sprinting influence typically. I mean, yeah, there's some stamina on the bottom, but there's no turf on the bottom. So I don't know. I mean, if you just don't like any of the horses with turf form, I don't blame someone for taking a shot. But this horse probably wasn't for me.
Dude, I'm loving. I see a 4-horse exacta box for a Delta being fired over here. This is peak degen. Yeah, let's keep on going then. Race 7, we got a 100K maiden race, mile and 16th on the turf. And yeah, we got a full field. We got a bunch of AEs. I kind of landed on 3 horses. My main choice is going to be this 2, Self Confident, for Shug and Vinny Chimeno. I thought that
I heard he likes it when you call him Vinny.
he was like so confused. He was so confused. We call so it was pretty funny. But yeah, no, I like the 2-horse here coming out of the Kentucky Downs race. Ran a real solid second, just barely missed it. The notes do say that there's a little bit of trouble there, bumped at the start, was kind of outside the whole stretch. So I if it's in the notes, basically everybody knows about it. So I expect this horse to probably be pretty short in this spot. So I'm not really sticking my neck out here. The 2 horses I did like that were more prices were the 5 Sunbee and the 6 Watch This Money. But I'll let you go, Caleb, and we'll touch back on my bees a little bit later. Well, who did you like here?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start. I agree with you about the 2. I think that horse is really lively in here. It's a shug horse that nearly won first time out, which is not all that common for that barn. Ran a big race, so I really do like your 2. The other kind of horses that I looked at in here are what I guess being the 2 logicals, I guess, which is the 1 and the 9. The 9 I probably prefer, so I guess we'll start with the 9 Boltoro. This is a horse that did 0 running in her debut on the dirt. She kind of whiffed the break and then just sort of trotted home. But did take money that day. Went off at 7-2. So there was clearly some intention behind her making that debut there in a 12-horse field. She goes off 7-2 at Churchill. She comes back from Kentucky Downs and gets kind of dismissed on the board. Goes off 11-1, but actually gets up and just misses. Runs second by a nose, coming from off the pace. We've talked about it before, and we'll talk about it again. I'm a big fan of horses exiting Kentucky Downs races. I think that really gives them a lot of fitness and kind of legs them up for their next time out start. We saw it last year, even on dirt. We saw a lot of horses that came out of that race. So, yeah, I think Boltoro makes a lot of sense here. It does make me kind of sick to bet a Mark Cass horse outside of Woodbine, but I think this horse may just be good enough to beat this field because I really didn't see any monsters sitting in here. The other one I kind of mentioned was the 1, Callie's Grit. Nothing really crazy to say about this horse other than the fact that she ran quite well in her debut and then clearly just didn't handle Kentucky Downs, whether it was the yielding turf course or the undulations or whatever it is. That's a course that some horses just never quite handle, especially for 2-year-old. That's very difficult. So I'm not going to hold that against her because she did show some ability in her debut at Saratoga. So I'm kind of giving her another shot to get back to that race that she showed in her debut effort, a race that came back pretty lively with the first and third place finishers coming back to win again. So
Yeah,
Callie's Grit's another one that not much of a price, but I think she looks good.
I do want to highlight that PDT did mention that he took Wonder Wheel when you were out last week. So,
Yes.
Mark, where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, I land on the 2 of the same horses you did, Josh. Those would be the 2 and the 5. And the other horse that nobody's mentioned, who's probably my top choice in here, is the 8 Mystify. This is a horse that time form came back fairly okay on that first out. Trainer's fairly high percentage going maiden seconds. This is one that the pedigree kind of says should stretch out and handle the trip. And I see this one being pretty forwardly placed. I mean, I would imagine Flo has some choice of what he wants to do, but with this one, and I thought that Mystify was was a fine first start, and kind of gets it done here.
Yeah, so I didn't really talk about the 5, but I like the 5 kind of on the stretch out seemed to kind of respond pretty well. It's got 2 really close seconds here. And when I kind of look through this race, English Channel I think is just, gets better with distance. I think second time at the distance is going to be huge for this horse. So and so I mean, Grand Motion and Johnny V, I think you're going to get a nice clean ride here. So I like the
Yeah.
5 Sunbee. The other horse I did like was the 6 Watch This Money. I know it's Munnings, which is more of a sprint pedigree. But I like that race last time out in Kentucky Downs, and it seemed like the horse, didn't necessarily mind the distance. So getting a second try at this distance. You get Steve Asmussen, who knows how to train both turf and dirt horses. So yeah, this is just kind of a plus move for him. First at the route, second grass race. So I thought taking a shot here with Watch This Money, you get Joel Rosario aboard on an S type horse, and I always think that's a huge positive. So yeah, so I'm going to take a shot here with Watch This Money, kind of as a B type. I think the 2 is definitely the horse to beat, but I'll have some of the 5 and the 6 in this.
Only thing with your 5, and I know nobody mentioned it, so I figured I'd loop back to it. First thing, Graham Motion's barn has absolutely been just crazy hot so far this meet. He had another winner today. He's at like a 30% clip or something stupid like that. The other thing is that horse just happens to be a full brother to Spooky Channel, who I think has cost us all way more money than any of us want to admit. So, hopefully the 2-year-old sister can can help us out and maybe redeem some of that. But I wonder almost given Spooky Channel's run style if this may be a little sharp for giving Spooky Channel was like to go for freaking all day.
Yeah, I'm looking at chat, and Jay's got 3, 5, 6, 8, and 12. So you like the 8 there, Mark? He looked at this 12 Dream Roll. Paul
I like
McGee.
that. I like that 12 as well. My concern with the 12 is the draw. Those, I mean, anything sort of outside the 8 or the 9 post, here it does not do well. The numbers really, really fall off. But this is another one of those Kentucky Downs horses, that ran okay first time out for a 2-year-old. Probably needed a start. Interesting to see Paul McGee ship a horse in. Yeah, I thought the 12 at, I mean, it's not a horse I'm gonna have as an A type, but it's somebody I wouldn't fault anybody for having a little money going through that 12.
Anything to add, Caleb?
No, I mean I think the 12s. Yeah, I think Jay has a good point on the 12. Just does kind of look like the horse that I would immediately throw out on my first pass and come back to after he wins and be like, I mean, I guess like you could sort of see it. Like the horse isn't impossible. So those are the kind of ones that apparently have been winning at Keeneland lately, from what I hear. So yeah,
And
I
I
think
think
that's
Oscar,
a good take.
I would say, I think Oscar Performance also is off to a pretty good start as a sire, if I remember correctly.
He is, yeah, on
Yeah,
turf.
yeah, he's like 20% on the turf. Yeah, Charles likes the 9 Boldoro, which I know we already talked about here. So we'll move on to the featured race on Friday. It's going to be the 1.5 mile Grade 3 Sycamore. I started this stream off with just the I thought was just the perfect video for this race, and unfortunately we'll have to come back to it. But yeah, 1.5 miles. It wasn't Arkle is not your favorite, right? No, it's isn't it the Chad Brown
He's,
horse in
he-
this
he's
race?
he's got a list. I mean, there's a list of them that
Are
Caleb
you
just
talking my favorite or the favorite?
No, the favorite. Isn't there like a Chad Brown horse that's like some? Oh,
The
that's
favorite
tomorrow.
is Mira
Mirror
Mission
Mission at
7.
7-2. Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Mirror Mission in this spot. But Caleb, I mean, like I don't want to talk about this race. I want you to tell us who wins this race.
All right. You know who doesn't win this race? You know who doesn't want to race for the rest of eternity? And that's going to be Arklow, number one. I am so ashamed of myself for actually betting Arklow in that turf cup at Kentucky Downs last time out. Like, I mean, I had nightmares for like days about after the fact, like that I was suckered into betting that horse. I'm like in a soft field, a track he likes, and he ran just like my in my heart. I knew that he would, and he sucked. So Arklow 4 to 1, 40 to 1, absolutely not. No, thank you, not today, not ever again. Um, with that being said, that horse is going to take money. I don't know if he goes off 4 to 1 because I think this is one of the races that have some really weird lines, like Arklow being shorter than Red Knight. I don't know that I totally follow the logic on that one. Yeah, there's a few horses in here that I just don't understand why they're as short as they are. But a horse that I don't understand why he's as long as he is actually the number 10, Balthus. And that's the horse that I sort of begrudgingly landed on as my top pick. So I get it on time form and thoroughgraphs. The horse is a little bit too slow, but he just seems to be one of those progressive type horses that just truly loves this long distance and has upside left. I mean, he has an amazing pedigree. I mean, being by Galileo, Chad Brown, Manny Franco comes in for 2 mounts, I think, today. This and an allowance race for which looks like a pickup mount. So you have to think this horse is relatively well meant. He's been kind of carefully managed, brought along kind of slowly as he moves up through the ranks, but hasn't really been tested for a long time, especially ever since stretching out to these longer distances at 1.25 miles and beyond. Yeah, I thought his win at Saratoga last time was pretty nice. He took all the money and won pretty comfortably. That race was an optional 62, but there was a couple horses in there, like a Journey to Freedom and a few others that are really more like kind of grade 3 knockers. So I don't really think this is as big of a class test as it may appear on paper. There's a lot of other ways you could go in here. I mean, there's obviously your old war horses and veterans like Channel Maker and admissions office and the likes of Temple and them. But for me, I mean, I've seen so much of them. I've seen enough of them. Like I'm looking for a young horse. Balthus is only 4 years old, lightly raced, has improved in each of his last 4 starts. And I'm just kind of counting on him taking a step forward here and getting the job done at what may not be 12 to 1, but definitely should be a square price.
And I do see in chat that that Jay has him as a single at 12 to 1, the 10 Balthus. So he loves Balthus.
Right, Jay.
Yeah, I landed on the 2 Red Knight in this spot. Won this race last year, and kind of followed a similar path, right? Ran that Kentucky turf. Oh, that was 2020. Sorry, won this race in 2020, and he kind of had the same like path. Won or ran really well, and second to Arklow in that Kentucky Turf Cup, and then ended up winning the Sycamore. And I kind of see that same kind of setup coming here, with obviously coming off 2 wins in a row at these marathon distances, and I think he's just coming in great form. I know 6 to 1 is a pipe dream, but Corrales has ridden this horse before, rode him very well at Kentucky Downs, so I really liked Red Knight in this spot. And the other horse I kind of like in the spot, and I'm sorry, Caleb. I mean, maybe you got the hat handy, but I think I'm going back to the Channel Maker well. I think I'm
I
going
was
back
tempted.
there.
I was tempted, but then I remember what happened when I bet Arklow, and I figured, what, I'd rather just be wrong and be true to myself.
I Channel Maker's actually run really well at Keeneland. He's 3 for 4 in the trifecta here at Keeneland. Does have a win. Actually won the Elkhorn earlier this year. Believe it or not, won a race this year. And I don't know. I think the 8-year-old might still have it. I think that he might just get out there on the front end and just do it. Like, I'm looking at this race and I just don't see much pace again. Um, I mean, Highland Chief is probably going to go as well, but I don't know. I think just Channel Maker is better. I don't know. I think he's probably going to be a B type for me. I really really like Red Knight. In this pick 3, I'm gonna press Red Knight. But I think I am gonna have a ticket with Channel Maker on there. I wish Road Warrior was here because he would like be so happy that someone is picking the old Warhorse Channel Maker for him. But Mark, where did you land on here?
Red Knight is also 8, so you could just claim he's the old warhorse and pick the actual old warhorse that has a chance in hell of winning. No, I ended up the same way Caleb did here. I'll have most of my money. I've Red Knight as my lone A here, for all the reasons that I've mentioned before about Corrales and Maker. And I honestly think Red Knight's kind of turned a corner. He's become a different horse when he moved into the Maker barn. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. I don't want to go too deep into it, but he just seems like a completely different horse. So I don't. I think the Morning Lion's an absolute pipe dream. I think if you get 3-1, you're lucky in here. But I am super interested in Red Knight, and I very much do agree with Caleb about Balthus. My only concern about Balthus is this is going to step up in class, and I realize maybe in this turf marathon division, maybe it isn't, because I think this division is kind of lacking that star, and I'm really hoping that maybe Balthus can become that horse. But again, it is on paper a step up in class. Chad's been very careful with this one, moved him along slowly. I don't know the reasoning for it. I wish I had some more details into it, but I think that 12-1 is an absolute pipe dream. Maybe you'll get half that. But I do think he's quite interesting, and he's the horse that I want, definitely want some exposure to. So he'll be a B on all my tickets. And those are the only two horses I'll have any money going through are the 2 and the 10 here, because I just absolutely think this is a lot of horses that I don't know. I think we know what most of these are. So
But I have to ask, because Mark, I know you're the kind of guy that if a horse is the fastest on time for him, you're probably going to use it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It makes sense. This 7 Mirror Mission is the fastest horse in this race on time for him by quite a bit on pretty much any of his last 4 or 5 races. So I don't like the horse, but what's your take?
I just didn't like the horse either. And I don't know what it is, if he's just sort of lost that edge, or I don't know. I mean, I think I don't have a really good reason for being against him. He arguably could be your lone speed in here, and he's getting the local jock up, getting Julian up, and Julian's done some good stuff on him. I just I don't know though. I haven't been blown away by any of the last 3, the last 3 races, and he just kind of always seems to find a way of getting beat. And I don't know who beats him in here, but I just I don't know. Just feels wrong. Doesn't feel like the kind of horse that I'm super interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the horse either. I thought he kind of should have won that last race. I thought he probably should have won the Turf Classic at Churchill, and kind of maybe has some distance issues, but it just seems to get a little bit tired inside the shadow of the wire a little bit. Blew a pretty big lead last time out. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really care for the horse. I mean, pedigree says he should go this far, but I don't know that I'm convinced. And yeah, I mean, his wins have come under questionable circumstances. At Gulfstream, or over some, even if it wasn't a win, a nice effort over a pretty quirky Churchill turf course. So yeah, not for me, but that is a horse that I could see a lot of people sharing our opinion, and the horse goes off at 9-2 or 5-1, and then wins by 3, and I'm sitting here like, horse made sense, but
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like he was sort of campaigned oddly. You're talking, okay, you got those 2 in a row at Gulfstream. I mean, Canadian turf was a nice race, but Gulfstream turf is quirky. And then, going from a mile to a mile and an eighth, back to a mile, then to a mile and a half, it just feels like Wilkes has absolutely no idea what this horse wants to do. And he's just trying to, fish and find an answer. And I don't know, is a mile and a half? I mean, that short answer was a nice effort, but again, did feel like he should have won. Gufo was kind of got it done. I don't know. It always seems like he's kind of invents new ways of kind of losing. Just did. I was there was a horse I was actually interested in, and I felt like if I was using Mirror Mission, I was using a defensive type horse. He's that defensive B. I like that just feels wrong. It's going to cost me money somehow here.
I don't even know if that works. Do you guys hear that?
I heard it for like a millisecond, but I know it was the defensive B siren.
Okay.
I'm not even hearing it.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's just so Mirror Mission, at least kind of looking at the PPs from a Brisnet perspective, looks like an every other type horse, and this is the other. So I definitely see a bit of a regression coming back from this horse. So I mean, I don't know. It's also coming off a layoff, so maybe. But I mean, yeah, last time just didn't fire well off layoff. Finished 6 by 4 lengths. It's one race at Keeneland wasn't very impressive, but was also at a mile, and I think they've kind of decided this is definitely like a marathoner type horse. So, yeah, I'm not interested at all in this horse, but yeah, it's hard to ignore the horse that's fastest on time form, especially on turf races. So I'm just glad that neither of you guys are on Temple, because once a year both of you guys are on Temple, and just comes back to just break your heart. And then I remember one year, I think Mark's like, Temple's not enough. How about Temple City Terror? And then he got boomed by that horse, just broke his heart as well. So,
Horse did break my heart.
but yeah. So, oh yeah, it looks like Steven says the siren works for them. So everyone else heard the siren. It just wasn't you guys. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun. I think it's a really cool sequence. I love that turf pick 3. So I'm like super excited to bet that. Well, let's go over to Aqueduct a little bit for this one race before we go back to Keeneland here. We got the Sands Point. We're gonna be going a mile and the 1/8 here, grade 2 for Phillies 3-year-olds. And I thought this is an interesting race because it's a return of Pizza Bianca, and I hate Pizza Bianca on the spot. So I kind of landed on 2 horses here. I really like the 2 Vergara here for Grand Motion and Joel Rosario. I think that this is going to be your pace setter, and there's just not a ton of pace in this race. So I wouldn't be surprised if Vergara gets out there and just goes. And this horse is getting a monster cutback, coming from a mile and 5/16 at Kentucky Downs to a mile and 1/8 here on regular good old flat ground. So I really like Vergara in the spot. And I just want to be against Pizza Bianca here, coming back from Ascot. Didn't really run a lick there. And yeah, I'm gonna let her beat me at a short price in this race. The other horse I liked was actually the 5 Spirit and Glory, coming from Colonial, winning the Virginia Oaks. And I mean, Irad saw fit to travel and ride this horse for Robert Falcone. So I know you get Dylan Davis instead of Irad, and Dylan Davis is definitely not Irad. But Dylan Davis has ridden this horse twice before, and that race at Belmont, had a nice little win there. Obviously the Lake George in over its head, but I don't know. There's not very many scary horses in this race. So why not a horse like Spirit and Glory if something stupid happens on the front end to close into to a nice pace? I know the 3 Eminent Victor, the Chad Brown horse, is probably the logical closer in this field, but the horse does seem to be kind of going a little bit backwards form wise. Is off a layoff, is coming here, and Chad does fire fresh off the layoff, but I think for a closer perspective, I'll go ahead and I'll take the 5 Spirit and Glory, but Vergara is my top pick here. Mark, where did you kind of land?
We landed on the same horse, Josh.
God damn it.
Once again, right? No, I really like Vergara here. Joe Rosario has been riding it at Keeneland, and he decides to ship to New York. Unless I don't imagine there's going to be a jockey switch here to ride this horse for Grand Motion. So I'm really wondering if they feel like this one's fairly talented, and Rosario wants to retain that mount, so he shipped up for it. So again, we've talked about these Kentucky Downs horses that come back next out. And yeah, I thought Vergara made a lot of sense. It's a little cutback, more conventional trip. And she seems to be pretty talented, kind of slowly improving type. Time form agrees. So yeah, she was my top. And I know, to give you another, whatever the other horse, because I know we're sort of dabbling and giving a second. I thought the 1 Skims for Schick McGahee was actually a fairly interesting horse. Another one of these Kentucky comes out the same horse as Vergara. A horse that seemed to have just missed, gets Johnny V up for Shug. Seems one that, again, kind of similar on figures. And again, and I also, another thing I kind of like, I always like horses that have a win across the surface, and both Vergara and Skims both do. So always an interesting thing.
Yeah, we are once again seeing this race very similar. I don't know what's happened lately, but this is no fun. Except I do like Skims better than Vergara, and I think the price will drift more than the 5-1 versus 9-2 that you see here. I think Pizza Bianca just takes a beating at the window. 5-2, I don't think so. I think this horse goes off probably more like 3-2,
Even money?
7-5. Even money wouldn't surprise me. I mean, shit, I could see this horse potentially being odds on. 5-2 feels like a pretty big miss there, but we'll see how it shakes out. I think the fact that horse takes all the money is going to kind of create more separation in the pools outside of that horse. So I think you will get a nice price on a horse like the number 1 Skims. I think Vergara is kind of the obvious, second or potentially third choice, depending on what they do with Eminent Victor. But I like Skims. I thought Skims ran a really nice race last time out at Kentucky Downs. And some people may look and be like, "Oh, she should have won that race." But I have it down as that was a day when the inside was pretty good at Kentucky Downs, and you really wanted to be on the fence, especially in the stretch. We saw a lot of horses that just looked like they were beat, just continue to find more as they were on that rail going on the uphill part of the stretch. This horse was wide the whole way, whereas Vergara kind of had that inside trip. So I'm willing to kind of give Skims a pass on that. I think she probably ran the better race and was just a little bit unlucky. I do also think that a 1.125 is probably a little bit better for her as opposed to like a mile or whatever she's kind of been running in her past few starts. So, I like Skims in here. I'm getting a jockey upgrade. I'd like to see JV keep a little closer to the pace because it doesn't seem like it's going to be very swift. But I do also like Vergara. She'll also be on my tickets, but I think Skims one's that I think is going to get a better price, and I'd probably give her the nod.
We can all congratulate Pizza Bianchi on winning the Sense Point.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Cool.
All right. We got another turf pick 3 to get through here. Starting race 5 once again on Saturday. We got an allowance race, 140,000 allowance race here, and you got once again we got a nice full field, which is what we love about Kentucky racing. I know Mark hates everything about Kentucky racing. It's probably because he's got a handicap more than 6 horses every race, but this is a pretty salty allowance race. You get horses like In Love, Mega City, Kentucky Ghost, who've all ridden, been in pretty good races. Mr. Wireless, who I think didn't he win the West Virginia Derby? West Virginia Derby champion, Mr. Wireless, shows up here.
That's right. I got the shirt on from 2019. What year did he win it in? He won in
2021. So, it's I don't know. I thought this was a real fun race. Mark, where did you kind of land here?
Yeah, I think this is one of those races where you have to decide what do you do with Moulage, the 2. 2-1 on the morning line. I don't know. Maybe the horse goes off at that. It seemed like a very ambitious morning line, if anything. But I think it's kind of a what do you do with that horse? We've seen a lot of these times where Chad gets these European shippers that come in, and I don't know, see this one really kind of really get it done. Does get Lasix here for the first time, but I really want to see this one, on the class relief, have that big performance. And I think the horse that I was most interested in this race is the horse inside. That's the 1 Mega City for Luis Sayas getting up for Maker. Horse had 2 very nice wins on across the turf, and that win at Lone Star. And then I don't know what happened at Kentucky Downs last out, but a lot of horses just don't handle Kentucky Downs, and we've seen these horses that don't handle Kentucky Downs come out next time out and still win and still run really good races. And I think if you're getting 6-1, you're getting a lot of value on a horse that the time form figures really say that this one belongs. This is probably the trip. I'll attribute that last one to just not handling the surface. And I thought Mega City was extremely interesting in this spot. I mean, I had a couple other horses that I thought were usable, but I don't know. What do you think here, Caleb?
Yeah, so I don't hate Mega City. I have that horse as a B right now. If you look, it seems like the worst 2 races of his career both came figure or just absolutely quits. And I think the presence of the number 8, Win From Within, who I don't really like in here, but I think him being in here makes Mega City very tough to love just because it seems like they're destined to go out there and duel and open up 4 lengths on the rest of the field and then just kind of wear each other out. So kind of approaching the race from that perspective, assuming they're both in, I was kind of looking for more of an off-the-pace runner. I don't know exactly what you concluded, but I don't like the number 2. I don't understand why this horse is supposed to be the favorite, and I don't understand why this horse is really supposed to win. Coming out of the JV squad of French racetracks, like beating groups of nobodies, running an okay second to Mirror Mission, but then doing nothing at even money in the next start, and then dropping into an allowance. Like, I want nothing to do with this horse. It won't be on a single ticket of mine, and I hope it takes money.
We have the same takeaway.
Okay, good. So I landed on the two closers in here as kind of my top two. What I thought were the two best closers: the number 3 Kentucky Ghost and the number 4 In Love. I really went back and forth on In Love because that is a horse that I think is going to take money, and I don't want this horse at a short price. But seeing the Chad Brown in here, kind of acting as a takeout reducer, in my opinion, makes me not feel quite as bad about taking a shorter price on In Love. Now, if he would end up going off at 9-5 or 2-1, that's probably starting to get a little bit too short. But this is a horse that, based on his last year form, should win this race. He hasn't quite replicated those efforts this year. He's ran fine, but maybe just a cut below what we saw from him last year. I'm kind of hoping that getting back to Keeneland, a track where he's had 2 of his best races and he's 2 for 3 lifetime, and getting to the right distance. They kind of tried him in a 1.25 mile or 2 back, which clearly did not work. But kind of getting back to this mile and the 16th, it and some class relief. I think In Love makes sense. I think largely the same argument applies to Kentucky Ghost. It has really just been running against horses that are a little better than him for a while. Some like a Hot Brown, Adamo, Santon, a few of the others. And then when he was in more reasonable spots, it just wasn't the right trip. He doesn't really want to go a 1.5 miles necessarily. So I think getting back to this like mile and getting an honest pace in front of him might just set him up to be, a good runner when they turn for home and the race starts coming back to the closers. So I like the 3 and the 4, but not a super strong opinion here, other than the fact I don't like the 2.
Yeah, Jay's, he's got 4 horses in this race. He likes the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 7. He's basically taking all the closers plus my top pick in this race. Caleb, we've tried to hit on this horse for I don't know how many
Oh, I
times,
know. Current.
but oh baby, I'm all over Current in this spot. So, I like Current kind of as being that I don't want to say off the pace horse, but I think he's gonna be sitting in that second, um, that kind of like second group, right? He's gonna be forwardly placed, but he's not gonna be near the pace that Mega City and who was the other Win from Within are going to be like a deep closer. But I do like Current here, kind of sitting in third or fourth, back a length or two, excuse me, from the leader. So I'm gonna go back to the Current well. I think I'm getting the right price here to go back to the Current well. And this is another horse kind of shipping in from Kentucky Downs, has that fitness, and is getting the cutback. So I think that this is gonna be a better race from Current than last time out. Gets a humongous jock upgrade from Brittany Vandenberg's husband, Chris Amy, to Florent Giroux. How many times can you say that there's a jock upgrade to Florent Giroux? But yeah, I like Current here. I kind of agree with you on In Love. I didn't know necessarily what to do with In Love, especially after that last race at Kentucky Downs. And this is a horse that has normally run really well at Kentucky Downs. Just weirdly campaigned. This horse has just been scratched so many times this year. I feel like at least 2 or 3 times this horse has been scratched out of big races, and I just don't know, right? Like I think run style. I think if you look back at like the race from last year in the Keeneland Turf Mile, like though that race obviously fits and wins here, but I just don't know what's happened to this horse this year. I have a hard time taking a short price. I think maybe like if this horse was maybe closer to like 9-2, 5-1, I would feel a little bit better. But the horse is 3-1 on the morning line. I mean, is it a bad morning line? Is it like is this horse not going to take money? Is the horse going to take money? I, I don't know. I think I'm going to stay away from In Love. I'm going to use Current. I didn't know what to do with this too. I think the two's first race at Gulfstream obviously is very impressive, very good race. But I mean, then came to the Berard Baruch and just didn't run a step. Uh, as a favorite, finished sixth last by 12 lengths. Um, so I really just don't know what happened to the horse. And now the horse is getting Lasix for the first time, which doesn't necessarily like strike confidence in me because you just never know how horses are going to react to Lasix. Like first time Lasix, sometimes people are like, oh, that like that's a positive. I mean, maybe the horse bled last time. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm gonna kind of stay away from the two here, especially at a short price. So I'm mostly gonna be through current. I might use a little bit of in love. I did look very hard at the 7 Grays Creek, but I think this is just another one that might just be in over their head in this spot. But
Can I make a bit of a case for Grays Creek? Because I sort of do like Grays Creek here.
yeah, go for
Just
it.
in the just in the fact of if you look at Grays Creek, if you put a line through the non-Lasix races, which were the two back race and the four back race, all of a sudden the form improves quite a bit. I know they don't have Lasix listed here, and I don't necessarily know why, but I'm almost wondering if that's a misprint on my form or something. Um, but this is a horse that if you cross those two races out, not that much slower than anybody else in here. You got Paulo Lobo, who, he's 4 of 5 in the exact on the meet. He's a 40% win rate so far. Corrales has been riding lights out. And also, the other thing with Grays Creek, if you cross out a mile and 16 seems to be where this horse does his best stuff at. So, this is a horse that's going to go off at 15 or 20 to 1 more than likely. And it's the kind of price that, you're going to get, again, we talked about this before, one of those horses that's going to beat you and you're going to be like, oh, I could kind of connect the dots. Okay, cool. That sort of somewhat makes sense after the fact. It's a horse that, again, I have to squint a little bit to get there, but a horse that I thought made some sense here.
Yeah, I also had that horse as like a B along with Mega City.
Yeah,
And
probably
current.
a B type. Yeah. B.
Yeah, PDT asking where a shard is for Lobo, but I don't think anyone's gonna cry that a shard is not riding in love here, or that Joe Talamo's riding. I mean, I wish somebody loved me as much as Paulo Lobo loves Joe Talamo. I mean, but who knows? We do have an interesting maiden race here, kind of sandwiched in between these two kind of classier races. We have a 100K maiden going a mile here on the turf, and we got a nice, like I said, a full field of 12. We got some AEs here. Caleb, where did you kind of land? I know you love yourself some 2-year-old maiden turf routes. So
I don't hate them that much, but I mean, I'm deep in this race, so I put on my mark hat and I'm gonna use probably half the field. But I struggle to really like be like, oh yeah, this is the horse, right? Um, who's your favorite? The 4, I guess. Worthington, is that your
yeah,
favorite?
no, the
Yeah.
11 Ashcroft is 3-1, and then you
Okay,
got
so
the
that horse is not on any of my tickets. Ashcroft, I mean, no, 0 of my tickets, and I'm fine if that horse decides to beat me. But I'm not interested in that horse whatsoever. I do respect the 4, and that horse will make some of my tickets. I actually landed on the 7 as my top pick, 6 Missions. This is a horse that ran a nice race out on September 3rd and just didn't handle it. We talked about this. Sometimes it just horses don't like it. It happens. I think it's encouraging to see Flavian Pratt take the mount here, who is one of the top jocks, in the colony. And Rudy Brissett is phenomenal when going sprint to route. He's something like 26% with like a $4.50 ROI. I mean, even better going sprint route. Brisnet showing from a limited sample size of 21 starters. He's 33% with a pretty nice ROI there. So this is a horse that Ransom the Moon doesn't have a ton of starts, but being by Malibu Moon, have to think that distance will be his friend on the stretch out here. So yeah, this is one who I'm kind of willing to overlook his second time out because it was at Kentucky Downs, and just give him a pass on that one and assume that if he gets back to that debut effort or improves off of that at all, I think he's going to be a handful in here. So I like the number 6 Missions.
That's also where I
Yeah.
landed. I mean, the 7 was my top pick in this race. And you basically kind of outlined it. Rudy Brissett is 33% going sprint route. Like, I don't know, he just understands how to get these horses to fire first time out. Flavian Pratt and Rudy are 0 for 5 the last 2 months, so not really concerning. I mean, it's a real small sample size, but you get Flavian aboard. He knows how to ride a turf horse. I mean, he's not my favorite jock by any means, but I don't think I think coming from Jimmy Graham is a slight step up at least in Kentucky. Um, I know this is an AE, but the other horse I was interested in was the 14 Miranda Rights. If this horse draws in, Horse showed some speed on the dirt, came to the turf and kind of ran evenly, but did finish ahead of one of the short price horses in here, Worthington. And I think once again, this is another horse that's kind of gained a little bit of fitness here, running at Kentucky Downs, coming in here for Mark Cassidy and Anna Biskitsa. The Biscuits already ridden this horse once, and Constitution tends to do better on turf than first time. So this tends to be a horse that or a sire that likes to see a little bit of condition on before winning a turf race. So I really like the 14 Miranda Rights here. I know it's an AE, but those are kind of the two horses I landed on. Mark, where did you kind of land at?
It's similar horses to both you and Caleb. I thought that the 4 and the 7 both made some sense. So I saw a couple of prices in here. And again, similar to what Caleb's take was earlier, this is a race that I do want to be a little bit more spread in. Two horses that I was a little bit interested in at prices. First off, the number 6 Tollgate Canyon. It's a horse that was, out of the 11 post at Kentucky Downs first time out. Horse was 6 wide around the corner. If you watched watch the trip, absolutely brutal, horrible trip. Joe Sharp historically has really good numbers for this Keeneland meet. He was almost 30% last year at it. You know. Joe Sharp happens to be 21% maiden second timers, and when he goes to Luis Saez in the last 2 years, he's been about 33%. So I found it interesting. This one comes, they ship this one to Keeneland. You're getting, he's putting Saez up. See if the Joe Sharp barn can come alive. He's been a little bit cold on the meat so far. At 20-1, I'm willing to take that kind of shot on a horse that I was imagine was probably well met first time out and just got a terrible draw and a terrible trip. The other horse I thought that was pretty interesting in here was the one Safe Trip Home. You're getting a trainer who, again, these are some of the connections that I don't know, but he's a 36% first time out trainer, which is an absolutely gaudy, absurd statistic for William D. Cohen's. I would imagine picking up a local jock, but a horse that sort of first spots. Again, maybe the 1 and the 6 aren't the kind of horses that you necessarily put on top. They were probably B or C types on my tickets, but they're horses that I would want to have involved because sometimes you get these horses that blow up the board, and this felt like the kind of race where you might catch price.
I was actually searching something. I saw Jay is very, very wide here. He likes the 2, the 6, the 8, the 11, and the 12. So he's definitely spreading here. I'm trying to see. Yeah, likes the 11, likes the 12 here. Did you talk about the 12 here, Mark, or no?
I didn't. I thought the 12 made some sense. It's a horse I do have marked down as I would want somewhere on my tickets. My biggest concern with the 12 is Flo's got to invent a trip from the freaking parking lot with this 12. It's just really outside draw. And I mean, the pedigree is definitely there. Horse has every right to to improve second start. Wasn't a bad debut effort, but man, you're so far outside, and it's kind of the issue that I have with the 11 Ashcroft. I know that's your morning line favorite, and it's Wes Ward who seems to win everything at Keeneland. But again, a horse that's drawn really outside, Rad's going to have to invent a trip with that one as well. And I think I'll just kind of let those really outside drawn horses, especially in these 2-year-old races, beat me just because, these races tend to have a fair bit of speed in them. And I don't see how those horses end up being 6 or 7 wide around the first corner. And it's very hard to win from out there unless you're, absolutely much the best.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with a Wesley Ward horse first time routing at a short price. So especially by Munnings.
It's Munnings on the tops. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of scary things there.
yeah. I mean, you get Irad aboard, but I mean, Irad will probably ride any Wesley Ward horse. So, Jay is referencing the I saw this posted in I think the in the Discord that men with higher IQ more likely to with salaries, right? There was this one there was this podcast I used to listen to, and this guy was just like, I don't know, he just like, I don't want to say he was like a like shitty, but like he just like did a lot of just like, I don't know, like he used to like take popcorn out of the garbage and stuff like that. Like he would go to like a movie theater. He'd go to the garbage. He'd find like a bucket and he'd like empty it, and then he'd go ask for a refill. so like he would never pay for popcorn. Like he just did like real stupid shit like that, right? And all of a sudden, like at some point, they hit him with like he was talking, and he ended up making this like persona. He's like, "Oh, this sounds ridiculous. I have a salary," like as if that's like the quintessential adult man to have a salary that you no longer have to take popcorn out of the garbage. But I don't know. That was just a weird tangent to go on because I was thinking about different podcasts. But Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. While we get out of popcorn garbage talk, mile and the eighth here on the turf. And once again, we have we have a smaller field here. We only have a field of 7. So Mark, you're probably a little bit more at home here, right? You got a even money Chad Brown horse. So this is probably more in your wheelhouse. Talk to me about how you're going to single this.
Only a 7
McCulloch.
horse field,
Yeah. Tell me, Mark.
No, I mean it's a 7 horse field, and I should be buying it, right? Like you just used all the horses, you can't be wrong. I mean, spray and pray.
Defensive
No,
dealer. Yeah. Hold on. Let me hit you with that one. There you go. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I had a really hard time with this race. This race to me, I guess my biggest takeaway here is I'm just gonna let McCulloch beat me. If McCulloch's the best horse in here, McCulloch beats me. I've never been blown away by McCulloch. I don't see what McCulloch's ever been done that that she's deserving of that even money morning line. She wins, I get really she's 3 for 7 lifetime. She's put up over $1 million in earnings. I get it, but it's just the kind of horse that I think at this point I'm just gonna let beat me. I just don't see where on paper she's that much better than anybody else. And there's a lot of horses in here that I think still have some upside. I know, and I'm going to go back to a stupid well that I know Caleb and I both went to and got burnt last out at Kentucky Downs, and that's the one, California Angel. I think this horse is very, very, very talented. And she didn't run bad going further than she may have wanted to last out across the Kentucky Down surface that she might not have loved. She happens to have the biggest win of her career last year in the Jessamine, across this surface. And I think it's interesting that he's getting back up, coming back to a track that she's had success on. So I thought she was really interesting in here. And I think the other horse that I was, again, I don't know if I get that morning line. I think that morning line might be another one of these Keeneland morning lines that just don't make a lot of sense. I thought the other horse that was a little interesting was the Chad Brown horse, Giro Manica, who is a horse that kind of fits on figures. You're getting Chad, bring this one here. I don't know why she came here necessarily versus running in New York. Probably trying to spread out some of his options here. But Peter Brandt paid big money for her. Obviously, expectations were really there. She seems like your quintessential every other type. This is the other. And I think she's probably fairly well met in here. So she needs. I don't know if she necessarily needs the pace setup up in front, but it definitely does help her chances. So I thought Giro Manica also made quite a bit of sense in here.
Ooh, I love this race because I hate McCulloch.
Oh,
she won't be on a single one of my tickets, and when I say that, I actually mean it. It won't be on any of mine. So I think McCulloch's fine, but I think this is too short. I mean, both of her wins this year have come going a mile and 3/8 and a mile and a quarter. And she's not really a horse that has this like explosive turn of foot where she just blows the doors off when she goes by, but she kind of just grinds and plods and, stumbles her way through and just kind of keeps coming and eventually wears you down in those longer distances. And, if this was a mile, I mean, I don't think she has a prayer. At a mile and an eighth, I think she has a chance, but at even money, I have to play against her. I don't like this distance for her, and I've just really never been super impressed with, kind of the way she's run and the way she's looked in some of these races. What makes it tough for me is that I actually love 3 horses all almost equally, and it's only a 7-horse field. Thankfully, McCulloch will be, make it to where I can probably use them all pretty similarly. I agree with Mark. I'm going back to the California Angel well for the number 1. All the reasons he said. Her Jessamine win over this track last year was one of the best races by a 2-year-old that I think we saw that year. And I still think that she's really talented. I just don't think that she's had the right she hasn't had the right placements. The dirt starts were not the answer. Then she probably just needed that last start off the big layoff. I mean, George Leonard is horrible off of long layoffs. So she ran fine and looked like a horse that just needed the start. So I'm definitely willing to give her another shot here today. The other two horses I liked, actually, my top pick would be number 5, Bella Bell. I think this horse, there's no speed in here, right? I mean, you look at the race, it is zero speed. I kind of wonder if she might just inherit the lead with Rispoli coming out of the West Coast races. Was undefeated in California and was a winner overseas in Ireland until she came up undefeated in California until she came up against Spenderella last time out in the Del Mar Oaks. And Spenderella is just hands down the best 3-year-old turf filly in the country right now, in my opinion. So, zero shame in that when she was still comfortably clear of the third place horse, Kyra Memories, who is a pretty nice West Coast turf router. So I think Bella Bell is probably the most tactical of all the horses in here, unless Chad tries to do something a little bit weird. And I think it could be tough for anyone to make up ground. And then I don't want to steal Josh's thunder, but the other horse I liked was the 7, the European import in here. Jessica Harrington does not ship a ton of horses to the States. The ones that she does send are generally quite live. This is a horse that clearly took a long time to figure things out, but then rattled off back-to-back wins in some really big fields of 16 and 12 horses. So, after finishing second in like 5 of those maiden starts, it looks like this horse is finally kind of light bulb went off. This horse has figured it out. Won a Group 3 last time, albeit probably a weaker Group 3, but nevertheless. If the horse can handle the ground at Keeneland, which I imagine will be a little bit quicker than what she's been used to running on, I think she could be really live here at a nice price.
Is that Jessica Harrington is Mrs. Harrington, right?
It is. That's Mrs. Jessica Harrington.
Mrs. Okay. Yeah, I kind of landed on a single A in this spot, and that's the 5 Bella Bell, basically for the same reasons that you kind of listed, Caleb. Um, I just don't see a lot of speed, and it just seems like those West Coast races tend to have more pace in front, and the pace figures from those races tend to come back better. So, I mean, if you kind of look, especially on the Brisnet pace figures, I don't know what it looks like on time form. I don't know, Mark or Caleb, if you have the projector up, who does time form think gets the lead here?
Bella Bell gets loose, like crazy loose
Yeah.
in time for.
I mean, that's what it looks like on Brisnet as well. And, Rispoli is definitely not afraid to, get a horse out there on the front if he thinks that's the way to win. So I love Bella Bell in this spot at 5-1. I've never been a huge fan of McCulloch. I think McCulloch is kind of just McCulloch has just kind of always found these like real soft spots, I think, to get her wins. Um, but I mean, I think if you go back to that Belmont Oaks, it had a couple of horses in there that were pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know about this cutback. I mean, one at a mile and a quarter hasn't really run all that great at a mile 16th, mile and an eighth. So maybe they just didn't have a better spot. But it's just another horse that, at least on Brisnet, to me, looks like she's going backwards. I mean, has had 5 straight starts without a layoff, and yeah, won that Grade 3 invitational. But I mean, who does she really beat in that spot? The speed figures are going down. Brisnet tends to dress up further races, so a mile and 3/8, and the fact that came back as an 84 to me is alarming, because I mean, you go a mile and 3/8, and like you get like a 90 no matter what. So yeah, I just think that this horse is slow. So I love Bella Bell in this spot. Um, I might give another look to the 1 California Angel, kind of for the reasons you guys have listed. I mean, the horse ran a nice race in the Jessamine last year here at Keeneland, so why not here? Maybe doesn't get the same pace setup that she got there, but yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of money going through this 5 Bella Bell in this spot.
So we're all
Um,
putting McCulloch right in the winner's circle. Huh?
Probably. I did see that Jay loved the 7 Paris Peacock as well, which I know is the horse that you were talking about at 10-1. He thinks the 6 and the 7 have 2 wins at the highest class rating in the field. I'd say to take the 7. So
Yeah, the problem is with saying odds say at Keeneland. There's no way you get 10-1 on this horse. And Mrs. Harrington is noted for shipping and stealing races. So coming to the United States, she's been doing this for the past couple years pretty aggressively. We see her a lot in Naira. So um, maybe you get 6-1 on this horse kind of range. I have a feeling that the line of McCulloch might be correct. McCulloch might go off even money, and it really wouldn't shock me. But I think the rest of the field becomes a lot more flat. I think She's Gone the 3 probably ends up being a crazy price. But besides that, I really think California Angel probably takes some money, and you're probably gonna have the 1, the 2, the 4, the 5, and the 7 all at that 5-ish, 6-ish to 1 range. I would think.
Hey,
yeah,
Josh, you see who owns the 3?
was that the G Watts Humphrey horse?
That's G Watts Humphrey,
G
dude.
Watts Humphrey, She's Gone. Yeah, I thought he's more of a, hey, I'm gonna win these maiden races. I didn't know, but
Well,
did you like this 3 at all?
no.
Okay, well, that settles that. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys you guys dealing with the kind of technical issues we had here. This is the first time. Actually, it's probably the first time that we've had issues with Restream. So I think it was only a matter of time before something bad happened. But we have the backups. I got a little win money on this 5 at 10-1. Mark, why are you shaking your head as if you're not, like, you don't have a live ticket at Delta or something right now going?
Delta ended for the night. I'm done for the night.
You're done for the night? Caleb is
Yeah.
just like, he hasn't bet Delta Downs or Remington in probably a year since we've had the contest. Which, by the way, I do
Probably.
want to say the contest is coming back this year. All right, we're fucking doing it mostly because I want to save Caleb from having to handicap Gulfstream every single week because it would just drive him mad. But I'm hoping that Turfway is going to be running Thursday nights. Thursday nights at the time we've been doing. I know sometimes they run a night earlier, but we're gonna bring the contest back. I forgot what were the rules last time, Mark. Was it $50 into 1,000?
I thought it was I thought it was 100 into 1,000, or was it 50? I
I
thought it
thought
was
it was
100.
$50.
I think it
Maybe it
was
was
50.
50
Yeah,
because I did it in one night, which was stupid.
it
But
was very stupid. And of course, it was like one night we're like, fine, we'll do Delta Downs,
Yeah.
and then it was just like a fucking cheat code for you,
we
apparently.
all tried and failed miserably for about 2 months in a row of making it happen, and you decided to let me play Delta, and yeah.
I mean, all I can hope for is that Texas figures it out and we get Sam Houston back because I
Oh, I
I
know,
honestly
right?
don't know what to do. I think with the exception of that pick 5 I hit at Belmont, Sam Houston was my highest return on investment track, and I'm just gonna be, I don't know what I'm gonna do without Sam Houston. So,
Hey,
but
Charles, man, very nice. That's a real good payout on that last one.
yeah, yeah, and these guys are firing away at Delta. So I don't know. We'll see what's going on the next couple weeks. I know there's kind of this lull before Breeders' Cup. So with that lull before Breeders' Cup, if there's nothing good on the weekend, maybe we fire away at Remington or at Delta or something. We'll do something fun. But I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. Once again, thank you guys for bearing with the technical difficulties. You guys can check us here on YouTube at youtube.com/on the wrong lead. Visit our website at ontheronglead.com. We have a new podcast out, Drank and Champagne, with me and Andrew Champagne. Just kind of talking about just different topics. Last time we did, Andrew had mentioned how much he loved fair racing. So we did probably about like a 20-30 minute conversation just talking about fair racing and just going to the races. And then we did handicap a pick 4 at the fair races. Obviously, that part useless to you at this point since we are far past that. But we're going to try and kind of put the first half to more of a broad topic that you can always listen to, and maybe we'll do a little handicapping at the end. So make sure you check that out. We'll both have a video, and we'll have that on our podcast through some stuff there. And yeah, anything else? Mark, what do you got going on this weekend?
A lot of non-horse racing stuff, but I will probably be trying to BC qualify again if I can't get in by then. So taking a couple stabs, doing okay, but haven't quite done good enough as of yet.
What about you, Caleb? Anything fun?
Nothing like definitively planned. It's always yeah, I took a week off last week, and I've really been kind of light for a couple of weeks ever since Saratoga and Del Mar ended. So I'm excited to bet this weekend. I've been kind of light and haven't really played much. So I hope the weather holds up and we get some turf racing, and I'll probably be involved at Keeneland for sure, and then maybe a little bit at Aqueduct or definitely Santa Anita later on. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to betting a little bit since it's been a little while, and see what the weekend brings.
And my 5 saved all the ground and then just stopped. So that did not work out for me very well there. But yeah, I'll be heavy in Keeneland this weekend. So tomorrow night I'm actually meeting up a friend. There might be a casino visit in order. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys later.